Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Raw Radiant Health, and I'm Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me. So, I received a really nice comment from Critter Raw yesterday on YouTube, and he was asking me as well, how do I stay 100% raw? And this is something that I'm asked quite a bit, like, is it difficult? What's your trick? Like, how do you not fall off? Do you have cravings? All those sort of things. And I have to say, yes, I've got many tips, all of which I'm going to share with you. But it's not going to, I need more than one episode to actually go through it all. And so what I decided to actually talk to you about today is, I think for me, the number one thing to keep me on track, because as we all know, I mean, we're surrounded by cooked food and a crazy amount of junk food. I mean, everywhere you go, there's food. I mean, and a lot of it it's funny food, it's scary food, like food that comes out of, like, you know, out of a factory kind of food. And a lot of it can be quite tempting. So the thing is that it's, I mean, unless you're living on a farm, it can be a little bit, you know, difficult and also a little bit tempting at times. And it's not only that, you know, we're surrounded by it, but also that, you know, there's other things that sort of trigger us or lure us towards the food, and that can be anything from it looking good to it bringing back an old memory to it triggering, you know, just some sort of response, like you need it immediately. That, and also we use food for, you know, a lot of like emotional comfort and even to the extreme of just pure boredom. You know, we've got nothing better to do but to eat. So there's many things that we're dealing with, like, every single day. So my number one tip for staying either on 100% raw diet or a high raw diet or just a healthy lifestyle is to really figure out what it is that will motivate you to do it. And it's about really being honest with yourself and figuring out, like, you know, thinking like, why do I want to do this? Because I think once you know the why and the motivating factors, the how, it just comes along. So, but I have to say, a lot of times that why, like, what is it that's motivating me, can sometimes be a little bit in the gray zone, or it might not work for you, like, or you might not be very clear about it. For example, in the past, I've tried to make like a few lifestyle changes, and I would want to do it in order to please other people. And I found that, like, whenever I try and do these things, it was almost like I'd set myself up for failure. And then I realized, after like failing like over and over again, I realized it was because for me trying to make other people happy or to please other people, I'd get really stressed out and just overwhelmed, and it was no longer pleasurable. And I think as human beings, like, we don't do things that are not pleasurable. So you have to figure something out. You have to figure it out where, you know, you can do something that would seem somewhat difficult, but the moment that you're doing it for something that you want so badly, you'll do anything to do it. And so for me, like with the raw foods, like, I don't have a problem staying 100% raw because, you know, there's two things that inspire me every single day. The second, out of the two, the second one is for pretty much, I mentioned this in a previous episode, that I, you know, in the past I dealt a lot with depression. And since going on the raw foods, I was able to sort of put that dark cloud, like, on the side. It's not over me, it's on the side. Sometimes it's like far out in the distance. but sometimes it's a little bit closer. But at least it's not above me. But the thing is that I know that if I were to go tomorrow onto like, ice cream and cookies, I'd be in hell. And so for me, the motivation is that I actually notice that every day I feel better and better and better. And so I want to continue on this because I don't believe that there's a limit to my happiness, and I'd like to see how far I can take it. And so that's like my second reason for staying raw, and my second like motivating factor. And my number one reason is that, this might sound a little bit funny, but I'm a young female, and I've noticed since going on a raw diet, like, I've become more attractive. Out of pure honesty, is, I would, like, out of vain reasons, I like myself more and more every day. And I want to become more and more beautiful. So when I think about that, then I want to go and have my green juice. Then I don't mind going and having like a shot of wheatgrass, because I know that everything I'm putting into my body is making me more beautiful. So that motivates me. And I know, like, I can, like, when I look at, like, a bag of candy, to me that's like the equivalent of like puffy skin and like, cellulite. so I want to stay far away from that, because that's just going to age me and feel not so great. And so for me, that has been my biggest trick of just keeping me like on the right track, is that whatever I put in my body, I want it to do something good. And so that's how I look at things. I look at, like, everything is always kind of good for me, not so good for me. So I'm going to always choose the better option. And then it no longer becomes a struggle. Then it becomes like easy. You don't even think about it. You're not fighting yourself, because you know that everything you're doing is like, it's just adding in more and more goodness and better results. So I hope this tip is going to help you. I hope it's somewhat clear, because it's kind of hard for me to explain. But this is like my number one tip on how to stay on a 100% raw food diet. So on that note, I want to wish you guys a fabulous day. And in upcoming episodes, I am going to give you more tips, more practical kind of day-to-day tips as to how to keep either a high raw or 100% raw diet, or just to make healthy choices. So yes, I'm wishing you a fabulous day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!